Cam is still robbing that toy store from Home Alone 2 in New York, wearing those clothes. So and then he doesn't know what to say.
But that's it. I want to go back. I want to go back to something you just brought up. You talked about the Dallas Cowboys. Now I want y'all to hear me out. I ain't talking to you as a fan. What's going on, Haran? I see you checking it out, Mr. New York Giants. For the last, I want to say 15 years, or maybe longer than that. I believe the stat was since the last time the Cowboys won the Super Bowl, coming into this season, they were exactly 50-50. As in, I think the number was either 157 wins or 157 losses in that span of time. And so, the NFL fans, I would say probably, let's just throw a number out there. I have no statistical reference to this, but let's just say 40% of NFL fans are either Cowboys fans or they hate the Cowboys. Ain't no in between. So let's just say it's 40%. So if you take that number and you say every time you watch the Dallas Cowboys, there's a 50% chance what you want. 40% of people watching the game, there's a 50% chance you're going to get what you want in that game. Either Dallas is going to win or they're going to lose, and half of the fan base is going to enjoy that. Dallas Cowboys start off this year, they're now 5-1. They're not, no Tony Romo, no Dez Bryant for the most part. They're just going out and they're just winning football games. That's boring to the Cowboy haters. That's boring for the NFL, because if you look at last year, as they finished 4-12, the top 3 highest rated games last year for the NFL all involved the Dallas Cowboys. So there are a lot of factors in this besides Colin Kaepernick, who up until 2 weeks ago wasn't even the starting quarterback. He was just on the bench with an afro, right? And so it's so weak. It's so feckless. It just shows such laziness in journalism for them to just look for clickbait, to put Colin up there as his afro grows and blame him. For everybody tuning in, it's your first time, this is Life on Circle Radio. I'm Miguel Lloyd. I'm your host. My man Orlando Hughes is tuning in. You can tune in, check us out anytime you want, MiguelLloyd.com, and check just do a Google search. Do a search for the podcast. But you follow what I'm saying? Oh, you're a big Eagles fan, but from a business perspective, if you knew for the last 20 years, every time you tuned into a Cowboys fan, there was a 50-50 chance you were going to get what you wanted in that game. But if you look at the Patriots and their ratings, why most of the time their ratings are down until they play somebody big, it's for the most part, 8 out of 10 times that they play, especially anybody in their own division, they're going to win. So it's not interesting to watch them play. Right, outside of them playing the Steelers or the Colts for all them years of the Broncos, it's not fun to watch fun to watch Patriots. Go ahead, jump in.
Nah, these are national teams. I mean, if you go to the AFC, look at what are the AFC teams that are national icons. So you got the Steelers, no doubt, number one.
Absolutely.
Right? Now you got the resurgence of the other dominant AFC team, and that's the Raiders. All right, the Raiders will have that allure. With them, especially if they go to Vegas, and that's going to be a huge move for them to get there, to go to Vegas. But the Raiders are doing well. And is there biasness on our part? I'm sure there's a little biasness. But as far as a television rating, you're not going to get anything better than the NFC East. You got every team is in a major market.
Right.
Every team is in a major market. So
absolutely.
Whether it's the Giants playing the team in Washington, that's New York, D.C., all right, if it's the Eagles and it's Dallas, okay, you got Philly, Dallas, and then you got the rivalry and the things you can go. So that whole conference has history, and it plays on a national level.
That's right.
This Sunday will be probably the highest rated Sunday night football game of the year so far. And the narrative is beautiful because it plays into all the factors. As you say, it's the Cowboy love, the Cowboy hate. Is Tony Romo done completely there? Dez is supposed to come back, more than likely. It's Dak Prescott, who I'm absolutely loving. And even though he's playing in that uniform, I need for him to perform well because I love the fact that no one said that this man could play, starting 4 years at Mississippi State in the SEC, and I know you're no SEC lover, but he played in the SEC. But Why was he a fourth-round draft pick? So how many other fourth-round draft picks, a third-round quarterback, especially brothers, that you didn't give a shot to? And this man is seizing the opportunity, and I hope he continues to perform well, even though he's playing against my boys. The Carson Wentz thing, another anomaly. Here's a guy who has a complete grasp and understanding for the game, but he came out of an FBS school. So you so-called experts who get paid to scout, your scouting abilities to me have always been suspect, but it's even playing out more to a team this year. So the Giants, the Giants are going to always be the Giants. That New York market, we mentioned D.C., that huge following that they have because they eat into Maryland, that whole DMV, and they snatch parts of North Carolina and West Virginia. So these are huge narratives that the Broncos have a nice following, but they can't compete with the NFC East when it comes to followings and that natural hatred. Like, we don't care if Denver is playing Kansas City. We don't care if Denver is playing San Diego. I may be in tune to watch if Denver plays Oakland. That may draw me from the East Coast. And as you mentioned here in New England, bro, I'm going to tell you, I've watched some games here for the Patriots, and it's just boring football. It sucks. I'm not used to the broadcast on CBS. It's not a good feel. Really, really not a good feel. So the NFL is going to switch it around. They've done that little suave thing with themselves to be able to flex these games, and we're going to see a lot more Dallas, a lot more Philadelphia. We're going to see a little bit of Oakland, but they're going to ride this thing to death because you have the potential of a Bird and Magic-like rivalry with Dak Prescott and Carson Wentz moving forward.
Oh, that's saying a mouthful. But I get your point. I think that I love what I'm seeing with Dak. I see a guy who understands the game, who's very smooth with it, who is not. It doesn't hurt that you got the best line in football. It doesn't hurt that you have a running back that's hungry and he's coming out and he's doing very well. All that really helps. And what we know for Dallas has had great offensive weapons for the last 5 years or more. But the problem, they couldn't finish games, but that made it interesting. That was part of what, I don't remember how many times I was watching the Cowboys until the end, and I'm screaming in my house because they're losing it at the end. And Dak is not doing that. But, as we continue to talk about these ratings, and as you mentioned, once again, like you said, there used to be a time where we knew that what made the NFL so great was, unlike the NBA or Major League Baseball or any other sport, is that it was appointment viewing. Once a week, Sunday, 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, you knew, and then Monday Night Football. That was it for years. And, the commercialization of it, and they find new ways to make the money and all that, and they started, as you said, to thin it out. And they started to, with the Sunday night games, and those Sunday night games did so well, NBC. Now I guess they worked on probably 7 or 8 years. And then you moved over, and then you started these Thursday night games. And the Thursday night games, are on 2 stations. They'll be on the NFL Network and CBS. And as you mentioned, CBS, I don't know what it is about CBS and their branding and the way they deliver everything. Everything seems like it's for a burgeoning baby boomer demographic. Even the way they cover football just seems like it's just watching wet paint sometimes. And so...
Yeah, it's for the golf. It's the golfing network. It's a golfing network. That's
right.
What it is.
Right. As far as sports go.
Very mundane feel to it.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And so now, and as you said, now we're getting into streaming. Now you're getting into a demographic where those consumers who strictly were consuming content by their phones are now becoming adults. And so as they become more of adults, as those millennials become more of a driving factor in all of these ad campaigns and strategies and means to reach them, then you're starting to have the ability to stream more content and watch stuff on your phone. And they don't know how to measure that. So when you take all of that into account, and then you go find somebody in flyover country, middle of America, and say, if you had a choice to watch NFL football or protest Colin Kaepernick, which one are you going to do? Well, of course they're going to say right now in this climate of a Donald Trump that's running around stirring up the pot around the country that they're going to blame Colin Kaepernick for all the ills of the world. It's a bunch of nonsense. It's garbage. There are real reasons why the NFL ratings are down, just like there are real reasons why all sports numbers are down. There are real reasons why all viewing is down. You know, you're not getting NFL on Netflix. You can watch NFL now on Twitter. They probably don't know how to measure that in the Nielsen ratings. You can watch NFL Network or on Facebook and everything else. People just have other things to do. And that's just the reality. I don't know how many times, even with the Red Zone package, I get up on a Sunday afternoon, 1 o'clock, I turn it on and I just turn on the Red Zone package. There's not one individual game that jumps out to me to say that's the one I want to watch and want to watch every bit of it. It's just that game is just not there. Who's watching Cleveland and whoever, right? You know, even the ones that's supposed to be like that game. What was it? Monday night, Arizona and Seattle. Did you torture yourself through that game?
No, I watched everyone's tweets, and I think I watched the fools on NFL Network afterwards talk about it. I wasn't given any additional time to myself, and as a matter of fact, no, I was on the road Sunday, so yeah. I didn't get a chance to watch that. I actually was on the road coming back from Philly to Boston to speak. So I think I was having an old school throwback moment since I can't get the homecoming to it. I was rocking Ibadu coming up the road. No. It's look, for as good as Seattle is and so on, the Legion of Boom, and so it's still a West Coast market, and these West Coast teams just don't bring it in anymore. You know, Arizona's a very, very good football team. Love Bruce Arians as head coach, but don't nobody give a damn about Arizona. Don't nobody care about San Francisco. You may have a couple of historical people holding on to Steve Young, Joe Montana era, and so on and so forth. But that's it. This combobulated organization, the fact that they gave Chip the Rip an opportunity there, they haven't done anything with Kaepernick, and I don't blame them. They ran Harbaugh out of there, and it's just, to me, the West Coast style of football sucks. It really sucks, and there's no East Coast bias, but there's nothing there. Denver can't do anything anymore. Yeah, you have an excellent defense, probably one of the top 3 defenses in the league. But from an offensive standpoint, who are the stars? Yeah,
well, you know, that's interesting. You talk about Seattle and San Francisco because they had a good run because of stars, right? You had Beast Mode, right? And you had Russell Wilson that was up and coming. And you had Kaepernick when he was early in his career. And you also had Harbaugh. And Harbaugh was a high energy guy. And then you got Carroll. You don't have that rivalry now with Harbaugh and Carroll because Harbaugh's now in Michigan and Beast Mode has retired. And now you look up and you say you got these defensive teams that are, as you said, are just not entertaining. Arizona should be must-watch television. They got a lot of defensively. They got a lot of stars, right? But the game is just not the same. And what the NFL has failed to realize is that while they're throwing flags and finding people for throwing footballs up into the stands so somebody gets a souvenir, right? It's just like every time they do something like that, it's like they take a little pin and hit the balloon and take the air out of the balloon. If Brown in Philadelphia, in Pittsburgh wants to do his dance after scoring a touchdown, who cares? That's what the fans want to see. You know, if you know somebody.
But you get into that and you say that, and this is the hypocritical league. Because remember, Billy White Shoes Johnson, Ickey Woods, Deion Sanders, the flashiness of these people that we grew up with.
Right.
So, if folks, and you hit on something with regards to a whole generation that's used to getting their content on their mobile devices. So they're used to streaming, so they're adults now. So they don't understand our love for football because they get into soccer and some of these other things, non-football related, and then it's so much saturation to it, and the product sucks that these kids aren't generated to it. And then for us as adults, all right, as we enter that midlife point for all of us, this is not the same football that we watch. There's no physicality here. We're watching poorly officiated games, and it seems like it does not get better. not even from an Eagle bias, but I watched the Eagles-Lions game a couple of weeks ago, and it was just like so many bad calls. And this is an official who's had a litany of poor officiated games over the course